Woodshock was directed by Kate and Lara Malavi. They are best known for founding the Rodarte fashion label. This is their first film that they've directed. It also stars Kirsten Dunst and Joe Cole. This film follows the story of Teresa, played by Kirsten Dunst. She is haunted by the loss of her mother, and so she turns to a drug, which begins to have a strange effect on her. Now, this movie was released a while ago, but it had a very small release. I don't even think that it was released anywhere near where I live. It is available now on Amazon Prime, so I watched it, and it honestly left me kind of baffled. Now, walking into this movie, I did know that it had received a bit of a panning from critics and audiences. It did not get very high ratings, but I like to go into movies with an open mind, so I gave it a shot, and I'm honestly just so on the fence with this movie. I'm kind of surprised at my reaction to it. I don't feel like I can even collect my thoughts into a cohesive opinion about it. So because of that, this video is going to be a little bit more informal than some of our other videos. Instead of doing like an official review on this movie, this is going to be more of just my first impressions right out of the gate after watching it for the first time. Now, right out of the gate, I feel like I should mention, if you hate art films, this movie is going to be the bane of your existence. Personally, I did not hate it. However, I didn't love it either. I feel like there's something there to think about, and it definitely left an impression on me. I'm just not sure where I stand on this movie. Now, the main thing that I've heard people praise about this movie is when they've been talking about the performance of Kirsten Dunst. I have to agree. She brings a raw emotion to this role that really brings out the intimacy of the movie. I really enjoyed it. I heard that she put a lot of time and effort into preparing for this character, and that it was one of the hardest roles that she's taken, and it really shows. She does a great job. It was also great to see Joe Cole in this. I think he does a really good job in Peaky Blinders, so it's nice to see him in film roles. Unfortunately, though, he's barely in the movie, and like most of the film, his role is kind of a mystery. Now, if I had to describe this movie using only one word, I would definitely describe it as haunting. As I sat and watched this movie, I could just feel it getting under my skin. The atmosphere is thick and strange and just creeps into your brain and sits there unlike any other movie that I've ever seen. I've heard other people describe it as a horror movie, and the filmmakers have openly said that that wasn't their intention, but that really is what it feels like. It's just such a strange film that really unnerves you. One of the elements that really contributed to this atmosphere is the score. The music in this movie is beautiful. There's this one motif that continually replays throughout the movie during very intense scenes, and it really drove the imagery home and made it memorable. Definitely my favorite element of this movie were the visual aspects, and this is what really made me unnerved and uncomfortable as I watched this movie. The cinematography is really beautiful, but there are a lot of just not right shots in this film. Shots that aren't framed very well, or that are shown through an object like a window or a curtain or something. There are other shots where another image entirely is composited over what you're looking at. These, in any other movie, would look bad, but in this one you can totally tell that they're intentional and just meant to kind of unnerve you, like I mentioned. There are also a lot of fourth wall breaks in this movie. Moments where randomly it will just cut to Kirsten Dunst staring directly into the soul of the viewer. These are really strange moments again, and I could see them definitely getting on the nerves of many viewers. Often, fourth wall breaks really get on my nerves, but in this context, it sort of helped me get into the mindset of this character. Things are not going right for her at all, and she's questioning her reality. And this really helped me feel like I was experiencing the same things that she was. Unfortunately, though, the writing does not help out a lot in this area. Now, after my first viewing of this movie, the biggest problem that I had was with the character development. This is a movie where essentially what you see is what you get. You do not know anything about these characters other than what is shown on screen. You don't know anything about their past. Joe Cole and Kirsten Dunst are in a relationship in this film, and you can definitely tell that there's some tension there, but the movie never goes into any detail about what that tension stems from or their past history together. The movie begins with Kirsten Dunst witnessing her mother die, and from that moment forward, the story just sort of happens, and you aren't really given any insights into what makes these characters tick. One of my favorite games of all time is Silent Hill 2. That's definitely a game that I will probably be reviewing in the future, but the reason that I bring it up is I kind of found myself comparing this movie to Silent Hill 2. This game is one that has a very, very thick atmosphere filled with symbolism and strange choices that get under your skin like this movie. However, the difference is that the game spends a lot of time getting you to know these characters. You understand their motivations, you feel like you understand why they're making the choices that they're making. And so that really helps you understand the symbolism. Granted, you don't understand everything that you see on your first playthrough, but a lot of the symbolism is related to the characters and their personalities. And so because you feel like you know these people, you were able to understand a lot of the symbols and the strangeness that's shown to you. Unfortunately, though, Woodshock does not have that element. I did not feel like I knew these characters at all, and so these recurring shots of the same object over and over again, some of the more mind-trippy elements that the film delves into, I didn't really understand what they were going for. Granted, I know that if I watched the movie a couple more times, I could maybe wrap my head around it better, but I almost feel like there isn't any more meaning to get, and that a lot of these shots were just included because the film goes for a surreal atmosphere. The movie also has a very bare-bones plot. For about the first hour, there are a number of scenes that just don't really feel like they're going anywhere, and then the last 40 minutes are just absolutely mind trip insanity. I just did not really feel like there was a lot of substance to this movie to back up the artistic choices, unfortunately. And this is why I am so conflicted about this movie. I love the visual aspects of it. There are images in this movie that will haunt me forever. Unfortunately, I just didn't feel like there was enough meat on the bones to justify all of those strange choices. As the credits rolled, I found myself pondering, what was the filmmaker's purpose in making this movie? What was the message that they were trying to get across to me? And after one watch, I did not feel like I could come up with a good answer to that question. This is definitely a movie that I'm going to watch again, maybe even 2 more times. But I honestly just don't know if there is anything more that I could get out of it. Now, as I've mentioned, I don't know if I can give an adequate rating to this movie because I'm kind of on the fence about it. If I absolutely had to rate this movie right now, I would give it a 5 out of 10. But that comes with a big asterisk that this rating will probably change after I view it again. This is a difficult movie to recommend because I have no way of knowing how any person is going to react to it. I know that some are going to call this a cult classic and absolutely love this movie, and I know that others are going to just completely hate it and call it pretentious. I guess I would say that if you are very, and I mean very patient with slower burn art movies, this movie is definitely worth checking out just based on the strength of the visual storytelling. And the last 40 minutes of it are pretty interesting. However, be warned going in that this is a movie that is not going to give you all of the answers, if any of them. This is a film that has a lot of secrets. Thank you so much for watching and supporting this video. This is a movie that I definitely want to hear your thoughts on, so let's get the conversation going in the comments section. If you liked what I had to say, leave a like and a subscribe. It really helps out the channel.